And welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Domingo Dominguez, City Councilor at Large for Salem, Mass. Dominguez, a pleasure to have you on the show again.
It's my pleasure, Errol. Thank you so much for having me again.
Great. Since we last spoke, there's a lot going on in the system for government. You have a community to navigate, and I think the burden may be on you to dispatch the best knowledge possible to young women in your community. But I just want to take a look at Roe versus Wade and the overthrow of that piece of Constitution that had protected women for almost 50 years and give women access to good health care through Planned Parenthood. In some cases where they could have possibly died because of an unborn child, die inside a womb. There's so much gynecological reasons that this overturn of the Constitution can make life problematic for females in many cases. So I want to ask you basically though, what is your opinion right now on this whole concept of Roe versus Wade and the overturn by the Supreme Court?
Thank you, Errol. Once again, this is a great question. Very sad we see how this health matter is being taken into political talking in a way that I feel that we had to be very sad for what we see here in America, based on the fact that, like I say myself, this is a health issue. And I think everybody's entitled to be taken care in any given point, any health situation that they have. In this case, it happened that it had to do with the women and family. And I think that is a very important issue. I have to tell you that I'm very pro-choice in a way that I see people using. There is a two sides of this issue that we have to take a look. We have sometimes a situation where we see some health implication on the women's side and in the child. And I think that we need to address that. I don't think that political wise we have to intervene. Any government had to intervene and let anybody make their own choices on what they believe is the best thing to happen. It's between the person involved, the parents of those child, and the surrounding environment that they have to make that decision. That decision is a very, very serious one. I don't advise anybody to take this very lightly, to do what they have to do in a way that they are responsible and address the most important aspect of life, which is human life. I think deserves to be respected. So that's my position into that. If I get elected in the state legislature, I will be able to join effort with so many others. But like I said before, I don't want to see this topic to be politicized in a way that it is right now.
Well, I just want to ask this question though. In a world where, especially here in the United States, where women are now so highly educated opposed to maybe 50, 60 years ago, what atmosphere women would view men out of the lenses of their eyes due to the fact that it's men that make these choices to control them, something that they were deliberated from. And they was able to vote, they was able to decide what they want to do with their lives. And now it's back to square one. But more importantly is how the world now viewing the United States of America, because we are the leaders of the free world, and most countries takes the leadership from United States of America, directly or indirectly, they see America as the pioneer of setting democracy straight. And we saw democracy fell on back there with the insurrection. Everything went in shambles. And now we see a big crack in the foundation of democracy with the Constitution being fragmented because of political interference. And I'm not dragging you into this political realm, but how would you engage your community? Would you try to design some structured system in your community that women can be counseled and learn to be more careful in using preventative measures of casual sex, the pros and the cons of what can happen now opposed to then should you become pregnant, the financial burdens and all these type of things. What kind of package would you put together to pursue the education of young teenage women in this time of season?
This is a great question, Errol, and I think we have to address this from the principal perspective that we understand that men and women are created equal, and that everyone have a responsibility to fulfill in society. We as a man, we have to understand that we are part of the situation. We cannot be left out. We cannot take ourselves out of this equation. We think that when a woman got pregnant, it's because made possible for two to be involved. In the same aspect, when it comes to make a decision, both, that was my initial point at the beginning, both as a responsible need to sit down and need to make the decision that they need to make. I don't think that is pertaining to only one side. In this case, women or even men. I think that both had to sit down and they both had to come with a very good decision, because at the end of the day, the consequence is going to be involved for them. When it's come to what can we do to prepare these young women to be educated and to prevent any situation, I think that education play a major role. I think that we need to start it from the early age to bring those type of education to the classroom in a way, and in the house in a way that our young girl can be prepared and can be proactive in order to make a decision that will actually make it a better living for them. So education is one of the components. Me as a city councilor at large, I've been having some type of forum in which I not only project some political aspect of society, I also try to bring some experts in different aspects of life. We bring some mental health professional. We also bring some family engagement professional. We also bring some financial and any other aspect of society. I think that we have the responsibility to put together those resources that we have in our community so they can advance, educate, and make sure that they can equip our new generation to be ready for the challenge that they're going to receive in every aspect of life.
Do you think that, you don't have to answer this question, we can move to the next one, but I'll still ask you anyway. Do you think that the Supreme Court is strongly influenced now by politics?
I do believe that is play a major aspect on what they actually do. When you see the composition of the Supreme Court, sometimes it's being picked up by different political party, and when they form that group of men and women who are very respectful, is based on the fact of what side of the equation they represent. So it's not a occasionally composition of the body. It is made up to try to make sure that either side agenda advance. When it's come to this very important issue, they initially want to make sure that whoever is part of that group of judge represent different point of view, and that's based on political agenda and political ideology. So I think they are actually implicating directly or indirectly to be politicized.
Yes, because the Supreme Court now is off balance with a group of conservative judges, and this is what resulted to this overturn of Roe versus Wade. But my biggest question is, and I heard Joe Biden said he don't want to do this, but I think it's imperative that he do so. I think that he should change the 9 Supreme judges and make it equal with other judges of his choices. It's like if you got 5 conservative judges, there's a good chances that we can get more fragmented and breaking in the Constitution when it comes to certain matters. And I think next would be the infringement then on the 1964 Bill of Rights Act. With that being said, do you think it would be a wise idea that the president consider probably adding more judges to the Supreme Court?
Well, I'm not very well versed on that subject, but I can tell you that in any situation that you do not have a balance, you creating an issue there. So it's based on the fact that our founder fathers thought very smart way to have a type of balance, check and balance type of government.
Yes.
So when you have too much on one side, you tend to be balanced what it is. So I think keeping the balance is always healthy.
Well, I love that piece. The checks and balances, because here's the situation. The balance come about that because this piece of Constitution is being overturned. It works now in favor of the Democrats to continue to have good leverage coming into the next general election. So it wouldn't be sensible for them to even consider right now adding judges to the Supreme Court. But I'm looking at the future far beyond this. If it remains in this format, what other major problems we can have in this society that we call democracy right here in America? What could be some of the most dangerous problems we can be faced?
I had to be honest with you, Errol. I don't have the answer for that.
Okay.
I don't have the answer for that. I'm looking forward to be elected at the state level to see how can I
and I don't want to
and be effective to the people that will elect me. In this case, Salem.
Absolutely. But you know, the people that elect you, they're going to be expecting a lot from you, and
Really?
I know that your powers still are limited as a state representative, but would you plan to just stay as a state representative, or you have other ambitions to pursue higher than that?
Well, this is how I answer your question, Errol. I'm a servant, and anywhere the people want me to be, I be there. If they want me to elect me as a state rep and continue to re-elect me as a state rep, it would be an honor. For me to jump ahead and say, well, I want to be in this or that, I think it's a little bit too early. I'm a servant. I'm very clear that the voters hire me to do a job, and I want to do it fairly. And they my boss, and if they decided to send me to any other position, I'd be happy to answer those concerns that they have.
Concerning education in schools, I think we touched a little bit on our last interview, but concerning education in our schools, do you think it is imperative at this time that young people as a whole be, I don't want to use the word indoctrinated, but I'm going to use it anyway. You think that Christianity or the fundamental principles of God should be a doctrine in schools, and those who by choice want to study Christianity, they should have access to do that? I know there's some reverence and some clergy members believe that this all started at home, but there are those who may not come from a family of godly people, but want to do the right thing and seeking wisdom. And this is imperative. I'm not looking to drag you into the Christian atmosphere, but where there's no principles or guidance or teachings of God, that generation or the people who are absent from those teachings of God are in for the ride of their life. They could be met with all kinds of dangers. And do you think that this should be a subject taught in school, the replacement of godly principles in the Bibles? And we both know that those were extracted from out of public places. But there are other religions who can do whatever they want at any time they want and when they please, and that's okay. But for some reason, godly principles were taken from schools, and it is now replaced by weapons of mass destruction, so to speak, because young people gunning down kids and so forth. What would be your overall view on re-educating children or furthermore educating children in public schools?
Yeah, thank you, Era. I'm just for the record, I wanted to let you know that I'm a Christian myself, believer, and I very respectful of any religion or any belief. And I know that politics and religion are not matched together, and I understand that very clearly. And I'm going to answer your question from the biblical perspective that I think many people are missing.
Yes.
God created men and women with a free will.
Absolutely.
Meaning by that we as humans are the one that choose what is the best, what to believe, what to which way to conduct our life. And I believe that strongly. I think that's one principle that is missing in so many cases here in the United States. I went to a Christian university myself. I graduated from Christian university because I choose to, because my family advised me to. I don't think that we as a Christian are obligated to impose to anyone the way I wanted to treat my family or to treat myself. So meaning by that, I think that we have to leave it open to everyone. Any one decision is what they going to choose. Those principles that I believe are true to me and to my family, and I never will compromise those principles. I will respect any other principle. If I get elected as a state rep, I have to represent everybody, regardless of what they believe or what they don't believe, because that's the job I choose to be on. So, in synthesis, the answer to your question, I think that politics cannot be any more involved in the belief of people. Just the same principle that I mentioned to you about abortion, I feel the same thing when it comes to religion and belief. So leave it open to people, leave it open to any one decision on what they wanted to worship. And I think that there is a principle and law in life that are very, very, very very different from people, different background, different. I think that we have, especially in the United States, we have so many diverse when it comes to countries where we're coming from, and the same token, we bring our own belief, we bring our own way of seeing life, and we have to respect that. So I don't think that is we need to impose. We know that our father, when they sit down and create the Constitution, it was a group of immigrants coming from places where they believe in God and believe in so many things. That's why we see even in our banner, our flag, we see the slogan "In God We Trust." In dollars, money, we see so many principles, Christian principles that still. But I think it had to still inside of you. We have to respect the new immigrants that are coming to continue to be the country that we are, country of freedom, free to believe on, free to worship whoever you think is based on. At the end of the day, it's a personal belief that everyone have to, you know, stay with their choices that they make.
Yeah, you would have mentioned that our forefathers, yes, they sat down and they drafted the Constitution. But on that principle, they also believed that all men were created equal. And if we look at life realistically here in this nation, there's nothing called equality. We see it established from government right away down to institutions, workplaces, in schools, are completely off balance in equality. What would you want to say to those politicians who promote inequality in this country? What guiding word and word of wisdom would you want to implant and impart to them at this point?
Very good question. I think that the same measure implied to everyone across the board. It's not only in this case to religions, believe it or not, it's pertaining to every way of thinking. And I think that the principle here has had to be respect. We all have to respect everyone belief, every one decision they made. If I choose to believe in certain way, I want it to be respected. When it comes to politicians, sometimes we just listen to the most majority who sometimes are very vocal, but the silent majority who actually might be thinking in a different way cannot be here because they are very silent. We had to allow everybody's voice to raise, and we had to respect everyone's decision. We had to agree to disagree, and we had to make sure that everyone's opinion has some value. We see that throughout the whole environment. Sometimes we hear some group or someone side say because someone is not thinking like I think, that person needs to be in one side, and that is wrong. So my advice is that listen to everyone, respect to everyone, make sure that you understand that any issue had two sides. One that is your belief, and the other one may be the one against. And when you formulating your decision, when you formulating any type of action that you formulating, make sure that you take into consideration both sides. And that's when it comes to respect. That's when you show to others that you really wanted them to be inclusive into the decision maker, to be inclusive into the conversation. I mean, we cannot have any democracy when we only hear one side, or when we only think in one way. We need to make sure that we listen both sides, and we as elected official had to be in the middle, both sides sometimes, our own belief, to make sure that we represent fairly everybody.
Well, that is a civilized way of looking at it. That's a civilized way of looking at it and analyzing it. But unfortunately, we see over the past year and months, 2 years rather, that it didn't really work out that way. It seems to me that we really no longer have a democracy. Lies are what were spewed all over this country. Hate and bigotry and all these things just evolve. And it didn't, I mean, it was there all along, but it came out in the open after it was promoted by leadership in this country. And that's one of the key things that I was looking at, how best we can try to establish that word to other politicians out there, that they can restore some form of public confidence in whom people should vote for.
It does make sense, and that the confidence to the public, you can build that up by make sure that you listening to everyone, and when it's come to civic engagement, people gonna feel empowered when they see that their voices has been heard, and in some cases, justice can arrive and make sure that it doesn't necessarily the majority who have the right. Sometimes the majority in any given point is being reflected because it's been some voices that are so louder than others, because they try to shadow the other side. But sometimes it's a silent majority that are in the equation that sometimes they are not being here. So the agenda of some group or some political empowerment is to silence those silent majority so they can not have a voice. And I think that we as a elected official have a responsibility to make sure that we bring everybody to the table, make sure that everyone have equal opportunity so they can have the same opportunity to express themselves and to have the rights that they deserve to at least be here and to address their concern in the same way we address everybody's concern.
Beautiful. Well, Dominguez, it was a pleasure having you on the show today. We have come to the final seconds of our program. We will be look forward to seeing each other again. I'm sure this will be the last interview, but it's always good out there to shed some light on everything. And for all those who have been tuning in, I want to say thank you for joining me again on Living in the 21st Century.